Omanchala is just coming. Omanchala, you are just coming. I miss your dancing step. I will have had Omanchala. If you give him 5 minutes to sing, Omanchala must be there. Hallelujah. Okay, let's look at how we can fulfill vision. The month of August is our month of visions and calling. A life without vision is a life without meaning. Heaven recognizes you when you start vision. Abraham was living before 75, but there is nothing until the vision of God came to him at 75. Then the count of his destiny started. We didn't hear anything about David until he was 17, because that was the year vision came to him. Esther has been living, but nobody read about Esther until she embraced vision. Ruth was a Moabite, but nothing was heard about her until when destiny encountered her. Your life starts when your vision is discovered. There are many people who have wasted years because they've been living without vision, and it has no record before God. So David's meaningful life started not when he was a teenager, but when he encountered vision. If it took him 45 years before he encountered vision, that's when his life will have started. He started early in life because vision came to him early. May you find your vision. May your vision find you. Your vision is the revelation of the plan of God for your life, the revelation of the agenda and the counsel of God. And your life does not make sense until your vision is discovered. Let's just look at somebody that fulfilled vision and destiny, and look at the secrets to his destiny fulfillment. He came across vision, and vision came across him, and he fulfilled that vision. I'm going to look at his life, then pick like 7 lessons from his life. So let's look at Nehemiah. Let's go to Nehemiah chapter 1. Nehemiah chapter 1. Are we there? Should I come for my Bible or media? Are you ready for us? Now look at it. Bible history said Nehemiah was not born in Jerusalem. Are you with me? Bible history said that Nehemiah was born in the captivity of Babylon. In Jeremiah chapter 25, God has spoken through Jeremiah that because the children of Israel violated the counsel of God and they worshipped other gods. Thank you. I will not teach. Because as we are playing, I'm trying to listen to what the Lord is saying to me. And if I continue that, I will just not teach you. It will just be a prophetic service, all true. You want me to teach? Good guys. Already I had a steering in my spirit. And if that steering continues, there's no teaching again. All right. Okay. So in Nehemiah 1, but the Bible history said Nehemiah was not born in Jerusalem. He was born as one of the people born in the captive land in Babylon. In Jeremiah chapter 25, God has spoken through Jeremiah, prophet Jeremiah, that because the people violated his counsel, they worship other gods, he said he will pull down everything they had. The people who pass through Jerusalem, they will hiss at it because of the desolation that will come upon it. Why? Because they serve other gods. God is a jealous God, and he does not want to share you with anybody. So when you serve God and serve something else, you will put your destiny in danger. If you want God to be concerned over you, you must be 100% him. God does not share 50-50. You are with God, you are with the devil. You are with God with an herbalist. You are with God with one person. No, when you are with him, let him be all. He's very jealous. And because the people of Israel, they were working in partnership, they serve God today, they serve the devil tomorrow, serve an idol tomorrow, worship an herbalist and things like that. God pulled down their, and Jeremiah prophesied in Jeremiah 25, he said they will be in captivity for 70 years. Then after that captivity, they will now come back because the covenant God had with David must not fail. He's a covenant-keeping God. If he has said anything to you, it will come to pass. He's not a man that will lie, neither is he a son of man to repent. Even when they misbehaved, he said, I will still, because of the covenant I have with David, I will still bring them back. I will not completely destroy them. He said, but they will serve as a slave in a foreign land in Babylon for 70 years. So Bible history said Nehemiah was not born in Jerusalem. He was one of the people. His father was one of the captives that was taken to Babylon. So he was given back to in Babylon. And so he had never been to Jerusalem all his life. So he was given birth in captivity. And by Bible history, some of these captives, when they got to Babylon, they were reluctant. But Jeremiah gave a prophecy. He said, don't think that you will come back to Jerusalem very soon. He said, no, because they pulled down the temple that Solomon, that magnificent, very glorious temple that Solomon built. They pulled it down, pulled down all the royal houses, the king's palace. They pulled down the king's palace, pulled down the walls. In Jerusalem, in the ancient days, wall is like the defense system of any city. A city without wall is a vulnerable city. It is when a wall of a city is broken down, it means anybody can attack that city anytime. When the wall is broken down, it means there is no defense. The wall is to the body what white blood cell is to the body. The wall in those days is like when you have the military in a government, the law enforcement agencies. So when the wall is done, there is nothing you can. In fact, you don't need to build a big house because anybody can come and rob you. You can't even say you are married and you want to sleep because anybody can come and take your wife and take your children. Kidnappers can come, robbers can come, any casualty. Somebody who is traveling and needs to drink and eat can branch your house and kill you. A city without wall is a very porous life. And the walls of Jerusalem was broken down. The temple was pulled down. The king's palace was all the beautiful houses in Jerusalem because they disobeyed God. They served other gods. So the father of Nehemiah gave birth to him in Babylon. So he grew up in Babylon, not even knowing anything about Jerusalem, but he knew he was a Jew. But he became the king's cupbearer. And that is a very noble position because it means that he would drink the wine before the king drinks it. Either alcohol or no alcohol. I know some brother will say, that's the kind of job I like. Just drink wine for free, including the one that will kill you. Now, if the king was to be poisoned, Nehemiah will be poisoned first and he will die first. So they must taste every wine before the king will drink it. And it is not just one person that is a king bearer, a cupbearer. There are about several of them. And they rotate them by biblical history every 4 months. Perhaps you want to go through one of them to poison the king. They rotate them every 4 months. They change them every 4 months. So it was a very noble position because he sees the king every day. Every time the king wants to drink wine, he brings the wine to him. So he has the opportunity of fellowship with the king. It's a very noble position. And he lives in the palace. Because you dare not serve the king wine without Nehemiah taking care of it, of drinking part of it first. So, and the unique thing is that, number 2 is that he was not of the Persian. He was not a Babylonian. He was a Jew. So for the king to bring such a sensitive position to somebody who is not a native, can you work on this? It's giving me an echo. So for the king of Babylon to bring somebody who is not a native of that land and say you should be serving him wine, it means Nehemiah must have been a proven man of integrity, somebody who is of good character. Because normally you will never see a white man become an Allah for your state. So for a king in Babylon to say somebody who is not of our tribe to be serving me wine, is he not afraid? The person you took captive and you are bringing one of them to serve you wine, what if he wants to avenge you and say, you are the one who took my father captive, I will kill you today? But he has been proven to be a man of integrity. So you see people who will fulfill vision, there are certain things you can't compromise. They are people of integrity. They are people of character. They are not just people of charisma. They also have the equivalent character. That is the background of Nehemiah. So let's go back to see the life of Nehemiah. He said the words of Nehemiah. Nehemiah, Bible history said he wrote this book of Nehemiah by himself. The words of Nehemiah, the son of Achilles, that is his father, who was kept captive, and he was given birth in Babylon because he never visited Jerusalem by Bible history record. And it came to pass in the month of Chislev in the 12th year, as I was in Shushan the palace. He was living in the palace. Yes, then Anai, one of my brethren, came. Now, let me go further in biblical history. After Nebuchadnezzar pulled down the temple and pull down the wall and destroy all the palaces, the king palaces, and all the noble houses, all the wealthy people in Jerusalem. He pulled down their houses and took the gold from the temple, took everything good from their houses. After 70 years, in Daniel chapter 9, because in that time, the book of Nehemiah in canonization, those of you in Bible school, is the last historical book. Although in canonization, Esther came after it. But then, Nehemiah was a contemporary to Prophet Malachi. They were the last. This thing happened 1,000 years after Moses, after the death of Moses. This event happened 1,000 years and 400 years before the coming of Christ. He was like the last historical book in the Bible. So this event happened the same time when Esther was also queen. It was the same time when Daniel was also a prince, a prime minister. Do you understand? So you have Esther, you have Daniel, you have Nehemiah. About the same time, including Prophet Malachi. They're about the same time. It happened 1,000 years after the times of Moses, 400 years before the coming of Jesus. It was like the last historical book. So when the word of God was fulfilled, Daniel chapter 9 said, I understand by books. What is the book he was talking about? Jeremiah, the word of Jeremiah, that Jeremiah prophesied, that the people were to be in exile for 70 years. So after the 70 years, Daniel needed to pray to God using his word, coming to God back with his word and say, Lord, you know you said this, that after 70 years, people will go back. And after that prayer, there was the first move of people that moved. Zerubbabel was a priest of God. Zerubbabel, he was the one who moved the first batch of Israelites. At that time, about 3 million Jews were taken captive into Babylon. So, but after 70 years, some of them built houses in Babylon, some of them started business in Babylon, some of them got married in Babylon, they were living life. So when the 70 years was complete and they were to go back, some of them were unwilling to go back. They were comforted and comfortable in the Babylon life. So even when the prophecy was fulfilled, they had no interest. So when Zerubbabel was to go, about 5%, about 50,000 people followed him out of about 3 million that went. So Zerubbabel was the first person that led the children of Israel to return back to their fatherland. And when Zerubbabel came, his work was to build the temple. I hope this story is not boring you. All right. So when Zerubbabel came with the captives that were willing to return, he built the temple. But they couldn't build a beautiful temple because there was no much resources. Number one. Number two, all the houses, beautiful houses, were pulled down. The houses remaining, they were just little ones with peasant farmers and poor people. The only people the King Nebuchadnezzar did not take away with him were the poor. So he just left them. But all the beautiful houses, he pulled them down. All the noble, the wealthy, the businessmen, he took them to Babylon. So the other ones left were just peasant farmers who could not amount to anything by his estimation. So when Zerubbabel came, he came to rebuild the temple. And after about 100 years, thereabout, Ezra also came and led some people from Babylon. And said, God said we should come back to our land. So Zerubbabel was the first person. Then Ezra led some other batch of people. And so they came. But Ezra, his own role was to teach the law of Moses. It was very vast in the law of Moses. It was like our Sunday school teacher. He could teach very well. So he came while Zerubbabel built the temple. Ezra came to establish and remind them about the law of Moses. But then, the temple was there. The law was reviewed and announced to them. They were reminded of the law. But life was still not picking. Beautiful houses were still not there. And this is about 100 years after the prophecy. And yet, things were not coming. So within that time, so we have Zerubbabel, who led the first batch of Israelites to come back to Jerusalem. Then after that, Ezra also led some other people to come within a space of 100 years. Then after that, where the place was still not picking. So come back now to verse 2. Let me explain. Then Ananiah, one of my brethren. So when Zechariah went the second time, at that second, after the Zerubbabel, the first batch, then at the point where Zechariah was moving them the second time, that was the period Esther too was having that issue, that they wanted to destroy the entire Jew. That was the period. So now that Ananiah, one of my brethren, came. That was after the second return in the days of Zechariah. Zerubbabel was in the days of Ezra rather. Zerubbabel was the first person who moved the people and they built the temple. Then Ezra came to teach the law. And when they came certain men of Judah, and I asked them concerning the Jews. Now, the first thing you see with Nehemiah, he was burdened about his people. He has never been there, but he carried the burden. And you want to know a man who has vision, you will see the passion and the burden that drives him. He's not crazy about the latest car. He's not crazy about the latest clothes. He's not crazy about the latest jewelry. He has in his spirit the need of God in heaven. What bothers him is what bothers God. And when you see people that will make impact in their generation, they are not men who are driven by what to eat and what to wear. They are men who are driven by the affairs that concerns the heart of God. The matters that bothers God is what bothers them. When you come in that realm, you have been a qualified candidate for the use of God. So he's not been to Jerusalem. He was not born there, but he carried the body. So when anybody comes from Jerusalem, can you tell me what is happening there? How are things going? Because that was his body. He wanted the will of God to be done on earth as it is done in heaven. A man who has vision, he's pursuing the mind of God. He has the right pursuit in his heart. One, his priority is not his own well-being. His priority is not his own comfort. His priority is not how to make more money to live large and fulfill life the way he wants to. His priority is, can God's will be done on earth the way it is done in heaven? And he was able to peek into the mind of God, and he was carrying the same burden with God. Okay, let's see what happened thereafter. So he came, so when those people came, he asked them concerning the Jews that escaped, which were left of the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. Yes, verse 3. And they said unto me, they were speaking to, he wrote this book. He said, the remnant that are left of the captivity therein in the province are in great affliction and in reproach. He said, the wall of Jerusalem also is broken, and the gates thereof are still burned with fire. As at this time, there was a temple. As at this time, some people have migrated back, but the gates and the wall are still broken. And it come to pass, when I heard this word, that I sat down and wept. He could not stand up, because the bones of his body became weak. There must be something that makes you cry. And when I say something that makes you cry, I'm not saying that when you lost money and you are crying. That's not what I'm talking about. Or when you miss one opportunity and you are crying. There should be the burden of God. He heard about the reproach and the affliction of his people, and how the walls of Jerusalem are broken, how the gates were torn down, and he couldn't stand. The bones in his leg became weak. He was tired from within. Not because he was in hard labor, but because he had a hard word. For him, that the burden of God became his body. And he sat down and he wept. Bible history said, when he sat down to weep and pray, he prayed for 4 months. That's a challenge for me. Okay, let's look at what happened. And when I heard this word, that I sat down and wept, and months, certain days, 4 months, and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. Verse 5, look at it. And said, I beseech thee, O Lord God of heaven, the great and terrible God, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that loveth him and observe his commandments. Yes. And let your ear now be attentive. He was speaking to God. And your eyes open, that you may hear the prayer of your servant, which I pray before you now, day and night, for the children of Israel, thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. He identified with them. He didn't say, I'm the one righteous, I just want to help the children of Israel. He said, no, we have sinned. And that is humility, the one who will serve God's purpose. Both I and my fathers have sinned. We are part of them. And we have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandment, nor the statutes, nor the judgment which thou commanded thy servant Moses. Remember, I beseech you, the word that thou commanded thy servant. And can you see the approach of prayer that Nehemiah came? He was reminding God his word. What a privilege to come to God with his words. He said, he was quoting Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy chapter 30 in this place. He said, remember what you said. Can someone come to God and say, remember you said I will not be put to shame in your word? Can you remember you said I will be the head and not the tail? Can you remember that you said, and you know, men on hearts may feel bad when their children remind them and say, Daddy, you promised you will do this one. But God is delighted when you remind him of his promises. The Lord, you promised that you will do this for me. It gladdens his heart. In fact, he wants you to come to him to remind him. Of course, he did not forget, but it brings delight to him that you can hold his promises and stand by it. He said, remember what you said. I'm not going to ask you something different from what you have said. I look for somebody who will, for 40 days, put the word of God on his table and put it on the wall of his room and put it in the wall of everywhere he goes and say, Lord, remember you said this concerning me. And for 40 days, we speak to the Lord about what he has said. Either in the written or the spoken word, if it is the word of the Lord, and just put it everywhere you go. You put it as your band, you put it as your screen guard, you put it on the wall, and just say, Lord, remember what you said. How glad God will be that you are reminding him of his promises, rather than fighting a cause by your own efforts. And say, Lord, remember you said to me in a dream. Remember you said through your servant. Remember you said in your word. And this is what you said. And in 40 days, like Nehemiah prayed for 40 days before going to talk to anyone, he stayed in his house and was talking to God, reminding God for 40 days. No, not 40 days, for 4 months rather, for 4 months. Okay, let's go further. Let me see how far I can go now. Remember, I beseech you what that thou commanded thy servant Moses, saying, if you transgress, I will scatter among the nations. That is Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 30. But if you turn unto me and keep my commandment and do them, though they were of you cast out unto the outermost part of the heaven, yet I will gather them from thence, and I will bring them to the place that I have chosen to set my name there. Verse 10, I think they are. Now these are the servant. These are thy servant and thy people, whom thou hast redeemed by thy great power and by thy strong hand. Verse 11, the last verse. O Lord, I beseech thee, let not thy ear be attentive. Let now thy ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant and to the prayer of thy servants who desire to fear thy name and prosper. I pray thee that thy servant this day. I pray thee that thy servant this day and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was the king's cupbearer. Now that is the introduction to the life of Nehemiah. He was the king bearer. I told you about it. Then if you go further, after praying for 4 months, not 40 days, 4 months, he was burdened by the burden of God, and he prayed for 4 months. After 4 months, he went to speak to the king himself. In those days, where king is king, you know, it's not today that a local government chairman will tell the king not to travel. No. In those days, when you call a king, you mean principality on their own. No governor collects their staff of office. No. When we call king in the days of king, these are king. In those days, you don't come to the king with a frown face. Even if your wife slaps you at home in the morning, you must keep your excellency. You can't frown. Because that you are frowning, they can kill you there. His Royal Majesty. And that time, he had prayed 4 months, then he approached the king. And his countenance was sad, which should not be. Because what it means is that if your countenance is sad before the king, it's death. And rather, the power of prayer. The king said, Nehemiah, what's the matter with you? Because your face does not normally look like this. What happens today? He said, how will I not be? If you look at Nehemiah chapter 2 and go further, he said, when the city of my inheritance lie in ruins, the walls are pulled down and the gates are burnt down. He said, so what do you want? And he said, I quickly prayed in my heart. And it was the book of Nehemiah is a very interesting book. You can read the entire book. And he prayed in his heart while he was in the presence of the king. And the king granted his request. And he gave him men to work with him. And he went secretly and chose his team and built the walls of Jerusalem in 52 days. That is what will have happened in years. Within 52 days. And he became the governor of that place for 2 terms. In 52 days. How will he not build a wall around a city in 52 days when he has prayed for 4 months before starting? How many of us have started things in the physical without building it first in the spirit? Nehemiah will not start in the physical if he has not started first in the spiritual. He will not build a house if he has not finished building it in the place of prayer. And after 4 months of intense prayer, then he can come physically to pray. Of course, when he came to start the work, there were opposition, but because it was in the counsel of God, he overcame them. What lessons can we learn from the book of Nehemiah and all through the stories of Nehemiah? I discovered that for Nehemiah to fulfill his vision, number one, he ensured that he had a right vision. Please let me preach to somebody, right vision. I've seen many people today who are in error by assumption of God told me. I remember the story of a brother who told me sometimes back. He said, everything God has spoken to me, He said, I may not even, if you tell me it is not God, I will believe. How can somebody talk to you like that? He said, everything God has spoken to me, if you tell me those things are not from God, I will believe. He said, but there is one that I know, I'm 100% sure that it is God. I said, what is that one? He said, it is God that said I should marry this woman. He said, that is the only one I'm sure of. He said, every other thing I'm not sure. And if you ask me, every other thing is correct. That woman is the only wrong thing. So I came and I saw the woman. He said, this woman, he said, Pastor, you may tell me that I didn't hear God in all the things I've been telling you. He said, but for this one, I had God. And I look at him, I look at the woman, and I knew they were wrong. Don't pursue a vision that is not right. Today, they are living like cat and mouse, or rat and cat or something in the house. There was a day he locked the wife in a room and went out with the key. The wife called me. I needed to call him. I said, brother. So he came back home and opened the door. The following week, he locked the door and collected her phone. I said, if I collect your phone, call Pastor Femi, let me see. So a few days after, the wife said, your brother locked me again. I said, I said, why did you call me? He said, this time he collected my phone so that I won't be able to call you. It was the only thing that was right for him. I've seen sister taking steps in marriage. And I said, sister, are you sure this is God? And he said, God spoke to me 5 times. Are you sure? They enter into the 5 times God spoke and wish they never started. I've seen people who started assignments that God didn't send them and they thought it was God. I've seen people who started something in the name of ministry for God and God didn't send them. Not all voices is God's voice. Not all ministration. So the first thing for me, for Nehemiah, was that he needed to get it right. He knew that the wall of Jerusalem can't be built until after 70 years in captivity. He knew that the wall of Jerusalem can only be built by the support of God. The fact that a man is praying does not mean he's doing the right thing. You can be praying and still be walking in error. Because there are laws that govern prayer. And when you don't know, you need to know that the law of prayer demands that your desire align with the desire of God. People don't understand that. People think that prayer is making God do that which you want. No. Prayer is you making you usable to do what God wants to do. We'll come into that another day. And so you see people praying and all manners of prayer, and there is nothing to show. The fact that they have prayed and done vigil does not mean they will take the right steps if they are not governed by the principles that drive prayer. But for Nehemiah, I discovered that one key thing for him was that he got the right vision. He knew that this is the will of God for me. He knew that this is the counsel of God. He was not just working out of a human desire, out of a passion, out of this is what I want to do. Let me also do something. Let me also make something happen. No, he was doing something because people misinterpret success. Somebody was asking me yesterday, he said, how do we go and do this one and get this one? And I told him, I said, look, if there are 2 people in your church, it is God. If there are 2 million, it is God. He said, if you're thinking, what else can I do? What will I do? I said, there's nothing. You can. Because success to God is you aligning with his will. If 2 people is his will, you are a successful person at that time. In fact, if that 2 becomes 200, you become unsuccessful. Because it is not his will for you to have 200 at that period. I said, so just succeed in the will of God. And don't come in your own effort to succeed. It is another thing if the will of God for you is to have 50 and you are in 10. Then you say, no, I must come up. Because the will of God is for me to be here. And this is where I am. But when you know this is the will of God and you settle for it, you are a successful brother, successful sister. It does not matter the opinion of anybody. And you must have that understanding. So the first thing for Nehemiah that I discovered is that he had the right vision. He was not pursuing an ambition. He was even reminding God what God said in Leviticus 26, what God said in Deuteronomy 30. Number next, what did Nehemiah what the steps that gave him fulfillment. He was able to build the wall in 52 days. Is because I discovered that Nehemiah wrote the vision. So number one is ensure your vision is right. Number two is that write the vision. The book of Nehemiah was written by Nehemiah. So he was able to explain what happened. There are people today who have the communication of God in their head. And they say, what God told me, I know. I won't forget. That vision is so real. The faintest pencil is better than the sharpest memory. What happens if Jeremiah did not write the prophecy down in Jeremiah 25? What will Daniel pray about in Daniel chapter 9? Daniel said, I understood by books, not by revelation, that we are meant to spend 70 years, and the 70 year is now completed. So because Jeremiah wrote the vision, I can pray. Because Moses wrote in Deuteronomy 30, Nehemiah can pray. And because Nehemiah wrote, I can teach. What will you write? So I discovered that one of the strengths, apart from making sure that the vision was right, was his writing. So when you know that God has spoken to you, this is the will of God for you, the next thing is write. And I'm talking to you, there are people who are also writing here. Okay, I don't want to look at you. So number one is that ensure that your vision is right. Number two, write that vision. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. You say, write it and make it plain. Number three, I discovered one other thing that Nehemiah did, is that he ran with the vision. And the Lord answered to me, said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. So number one is that it is right. Number two is that you write. Number three is that you run with the vision. When the vision of God came to Nehemiah, he waited to pray for 4 months. That caught me. I won't lie. He prayed 4 months before speaking to anybody. And after praying 4 months, he built the wall in 52 days. In less than 2 months. Have you seen people who have done so much in the physical and get little results? Something they should have started in the spiritual. I don't know what you want to do, what vision of God you want to buy. See, anything you can do without prayer, it means it is not God's vision. Everything that, if it is God's vision, it will need God to fulfill it. You will need to depend on him. Like the brother, the pastor who was asking me, he said, what kind of wisdom can we ask for to go in the journey? I said, in the design of God. God does not want you to ask for something that can take you for 1 year. Are you with me? God does not want you to say, in January 1, let us pray a prayer that will take us through the year. He does not want it. He doesn't want what will take you for a month and say, just pray August 1. Of course, we didn't even pray. We had a program. We didn't have our fasting this month. He said, he didn't want you to say, let's have a prayer in the day, in the beginning of the month that will take us all through the month. He does not even want you to have a prayer in the beginning of the week that will take you through the week. The design of God is that you will come to him on a daily basis. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us this day our day. It's not our weekly bread. It's not our monthly bread. It's not our yearly bread. So when I come to God today, I receive the wisdom for the journey of today. I receive the grace for today. I receive the provision of today. I receive the finances of today. I receive the help of today. Then when I come tomorrow, then I receive. God wants us to depend on him daily. That's how he designed it. The reason why we have challenges is because we walk in the wisdom we asked last week and we want to use it to solve next week's problem. Each day comes with its own challenges and benefits. And we must come to each day to receive the loading of the benefit for each day. To receive the help for each day. So we must come in that understanding. When Nehemiah had that vision, he ran with it. For 4 months, he stood in the presence of God. Because what he wanted to birth is a spiritual thing. He needed God for it to birth it. There are people today who God has given an idea of a business and said, this is the business you want to do. And the first thing they did is to search the internet. How do I start? What do I do? How do I debit and credit account? How many people should I employ? And they went for training. It is a good thing you have done. It's not wrong. But did you check that after doing that, you still did not get your results? Because if it is God, it must be battered first in the spirit. It does not matter what the thing is. Either it looks physical or it looks spiritual. If God is telling you to start a hair fashion industry, and you are going to start it the way, and if it is something you can do with your pocket, it is not the vision of God. When it was time to start this project, I started saying, hey, how much will it cost to lay foundation? For me, let's just lay the foundation. Just give me, they say, well, it depends on, I said, give me an estimate. So they were say, well, maybe this amount or this amount, within this amount. I said, good. If we do the foundation, we can continue that. So I was trying to save money. If I have any money, I save it. If I have money, I save it. If I have any money, I save it. Waiting for the day the building will start, so that at least if I put these savings together and push, we'll do foundation. Then if we want to rest, we can rest. The uniqueness of God. That money, as I save it, God was looking at me. So there were needs around me. So I said, God, I need to quickly attend this thing. Can I borrow from your money that I save? Lord, just let me borrow, I will return. So I took. That's how I kept borrowing till I finished the entire savings. When I finished the entire savings, then it was now time to do. Because if it is him, it's not about me, it's about him. So we started without my savings, so that I won't be saying, well, we thank God this building is here, but I know how much I save. I didn't save. The one I saved, God said, use it. I don't need it. I will do it by my own power. We laid the foundation of this building January 23rd, 2021. We moved in here in October, the same year. Less than 1 year. In fact, we'll have moved in here by July. But for a little error, God wanted to show his supremacy. When God gives you an assignment, it can be go and start a business. It can be go and have a car, this one. It can be have a salon. It can be have a fashion industry. Nehemiah taught us that before we go in the physical, we should start in the spiritual. I have not seen any soldier that walk faster on their knee like a Christian. For Nehemiah to build the wall of Jerusalem, he did not need bricklayers first, the contact of bricklayer. I remember when I was to build my house in Ibadan, God is deep. God showed me the house of a bricklayer that I've never met in Ogbomoso and gave me his name in a vision. I was in Ibadan. So I woke up, I wrote it down, and located the description. There were names I was not used to. I came there, and turned by the vision I saw, and I located the house. I said, sir, please, is there a bricklayer living here? And they said, yes. I said, come, sir. The Lord said, you are the one to build my house. God can be that detailed. Are there no bricklayers in Ibadan? But for Nehemiah, I learned a different principle. He will not start by negotiating about how many brick, how many cement, how many. He started on a 4-month prayer that he may run that readeth. When the vision came to him, he needed to run. And the easiest way for him to run is not to connect people, was to be on his knee. How? Because the tallest men are the men on their knees. The fastest men are those who wait upon the Lord. For they that wait upon the Lord, they shall renew their strength. They will mount up with wings as eagles. They will run. They will walk and they won't faint. So for him to run, it was for him to wait. For him to run and fulfill God's counsel, it was waiting on the Lord. And for 4 months, Nehemiah was speaking the promises of God. Lord, remember you said this. Lord, you remember you said it. And after 4 months, the project became something done in less than 2 months. Let's look at what other lesson. So apart from Nehemiah getting the right vision, he wrote the vision, he write down the vision. Number 3, he ran with the vision. So run with the vision. Number next is that he reviewed the vision. I'm rushing because my time is off already. He reviewed the vision. When God gives you a vision, make sure it is the right thing. Write that vision. Run with the vision. The fastest way to run is on your knee. When you run on your knee, you will run faster than the man on the chariots. That was the secret of Elijah. Elijah was there on his knee praying, and Ahab was on his chariot. But when Ahab was moving, he was seeing Elijah ahead of him. Because in the kingdom, we run faster on our knees. We soar like wings on eagles when we are waiting on him, because our strength is renewed in his presence. Before we contact our lawyers, contact our doctors, contact our consultants, there must be somebody we contact first, the Lord, in a place of prayer. Then when we are done, then we can consult others. So he ran with the vision. He reviewed the vision. When he was pursuing the vision in Nehemiah chapter 13, Nehemiah discovered that there were some omission. There were things that they were doing that was contrary to what should be done. So one of the things he did is he reviewed, because there will be time you need to review to check if the method you are using is working for you. The vision will not change, but the method and approach can change. The procedure can change. And when he saw that these people were in Nehemiah 13 verse 10, he saw that, he said, no, don't do it like this, do it like this. He needed to do a review. You need to do a review of your approach to fulfilling this method, this vision. What God has, and I perceive that the portion of the Levites are not been given them. For the Levite and the singer that did the work were fled, everyone to his field, instead of them to go to their work. So he needed to contend with the rulers and say, why is the house of God forsaken? We can't do this one. You must do a review of the vision of God to you and say, okay, how much am I supposed to do? What do I need to change? If this is what God has told me, why am I not getting this result? Must I change this one? Do I need to change my character? Do I need to change my approach? Do I need to change how I talk to people? Do I need to do? Why are these? Because when God gives you the vision, as far as God is concerned, it is concluded. So if there are issues around it, maybe you need to do a review. Nehemiah did a review. One other thing I discovered about Nehemiah is that he resisted the enemies of his vision. In Nehemiah chapter 4 verse 3, you see Tobiah and Sanballat. Sanballat was the governor of Samaria. Tobiah was the leader. Now Tobiah was the leader of Ammonites. He was a leader in Ammonite. Now Tobiah the Ammonite was by him, and he said, even that which they build, if a force go up, it shall even break down the stone wall. They came in the spirit, and when you see people in the spirit of Tobiah and Sanballat, they are also in the church. They discourage people from walking. Tobiah was a leader in the Ammonite. Sanballat was a governor in Samaria. And there was another guy, there were three of them, who teamed up to discourage. And Bible history said there are people like that who come to the church to discourage people who wants to work for God. They say, why are you the only one doing it? You better don't do it like that. Even the pastor is not this way. Even when pastor's wife says, why are you putting it on your head? It's the spirit of Tobiah and Sanballat. Sanballat is a Jew. Tobiah is an Ammonite. So you see them in the church. He said, why is he your own? You two can give excuse now. You can also come later. Why are you putting the thing in your head? Is the spirit of Tobiah and Sanballat. They come to bring fear. They come to bring discouragement. They speak people out of their commitment and their zeal for God. They pull down the work of God. And Nehemiah had that encounter. And what did he do? He resisted them. At a point in his journey, in Nehemiah chapter 9, he said, nevertheless, we made a prayer. I think Nehemiah 9:4 or something. He said, nevertheless, we made a prayer. When the people said they were coming to attack them, they stood up, okay. No, come to Nehemiah 4:9 or so. Either 9:4 or 4:9. When he said, nevertheless, we made our prayer. Nevertheless, we made our prayer unto God and set a watch against them day and night because of them. Those guys were coming to discourage them. And Judah said, the strength of the bearers of burden is decayed. That is weakened. And there is much rubbish, so that we are not able to build the wall. They came to weaken them. The spirit of Tobiah, the spirit of Sanballat. Even when they are doing something good, they say, this nonsense thing you are doing. And the person does not want to do again. They condemn, they criticize. They pull down, they don't encourage. It's the spirit of Tobiah. And when you see people like that around you, please run away from them. They want to kill you before your time. They speak to you to pull you down. They speak to you to bring fear to you. You want to come to church and you're afraid. They say, why? Because Tobiah and Sanballat has come. They bring fear to people. You want to share a testimony and you're afraid because of Tobiah and Sanballat. You want to thank God for what God has done and you are scared because of Tobiah and Sanballat. You want to serve God because it is in your spirit to do that, but you are afraid about what people will say. Tobiah and Sanballat, they were men who were just speaking to discourage people who were building the walls of Jerusalem. In fact, at the time, Nehemiah needed to pray and say, God, do not forget their iniquity. Don't forgive them if they sin. Because they brought so much havoc, not physically, but by words. Speaking to people, talking to men, discouraging people, weakening their faith, telling them why do they do it? Are you the only one doing this one? Why should you be the one to this one? And there is the spirit. So Nehemiah resisted the enemies. In the course of your journey, there will be people who will want to discourage you. There will be circumstances who wants to discourage you. There will be situations that wants to discourage you. You must, like Nehemiah, overcome them. Nehemiah did not say because they were discouragement, because they were resistance, and he gave up. No, he stood and devised means. He said, some of those of you are working on the wall, we're going to divide it into two. Some of you will be working, some of you will be protecting us. So some of them were with their sword as they were building. Some other guys were watching over them. He will not give up in his vision. It does not matter what the enemy is throwing at you, you must stand firm. Because anytime there is an opportunity of God, there will be the opposition of darkness. When you receive the opportunity of God to do God's will, the opportunity of God to serve God, the devil will also rise to oppose it. And you must be conscious that the opposition will come to the opportunities of God, and you must not allow the opposition to override the opportunity that God has given to you. You must, like Nehemiah, stand against it. One other thing that Nehemiah did that I love is that he reported to God. Every bit of it. When Tobiah and Sanballat were coming to disturb him, he went to God to report. He said, nevertheless, we made our prayer. We will not stop doing what we want to do because this person is discouraging us. This person said, why are we this zealous? This person said, why are this? And rather than get weary and get discouraged, Nehemiah will rather report to God. That was encouraging for me. That when somebody said, don't do it, and I say, why will I not do God's will? Then I report back to God. And go and check it tomorrow. Anytime you see somebody doing discouragement, fear, they say that person walks in the spirit of Tobiah. Nehemiah prayed, God, do not forgive their sins. Until tomorrow, people still remember their iniquity because God heard the prayer of Nehemiah. You will not be a Tobiah and Sanballat. You will be an encourager. One to motivate someone. I remember one time I needed to buy a property. And I was praying and praying and praying, and the fund for the property was not coming. So I went to a man of God who was higher in grace, and I said, man of God, please join me and pray. I've been believing God for this property, it's not coming. And the man said, anything God gives you, come with ease. He said, if it is not coming with ease, it is not God, so forget about it. I said, really? He said, yes. It looks like a relief to me. I said, thank God, why am I bothered all this while? Then I went back to pray. As I knelt down, the Lord said, don't mind what he said. I have not sent him. He said, go tell the person who wants to sell the property. Tell him in the next 2 weeks, you will pray. I say, you will pay. I said, Father, I've told him 2 weeks, 2 months, 1 month. The guy is tired of my 1 month, 1 month, 1 month. He said, go tell him now. So I said, sir, in 2 weeks' time, I will pay. He said, you've been saying that before. If I get another person, I'll buy. And in 2 weeks, God brought the provision. If I had listened to the brother who came not by the word of the Lord, by his opinion. Who told you God's will is not challenging? The only thing the enemy opposes is the will of God. And the only thing God supports is the will of God. I must give you that balance. There. The opportunities of God will meet the opposition of darkness. When you stand in the will of God and in the opportunity of God, the devil will oppose you. But Nehemiah resisted it. How did he resist it? He reported it to God. He was not discouraged. He was not weeping. And I said, sister, we didn't see you in Riaza. He said, last time too, Sister Yemi didn't come. You guys didn't say anything. Why is it me? You are losing your opportunity. What concerns you with Sister Yemi? Your time is different from her own. And I don't know if she came actually. Okay. So number next. Let me conclude now. Rate division. Rate it. Rate division. How do you know when your vision is bringing impact? What is the expectation of the vision of God for you? Rate it. Are you in the 30% fold? Are you in the 60? Are you in the 100? How do you know when what God said to you is what is happening? How do you know you are in the wheel? Rate it. What is expected? Let's look at Nehemiah. He rated his vision. Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 17. Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 17. As I conclude, he said, then said I unto them, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lie waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that will be no more a reproach. For Nehemiah, when Jerusalem is no more a reproach, then the vision is fulfilled. So he needed to walk in rating. Are we close to it? We may not be there yet, but are we close to it? The Lord has said to me that I will have these schools in 100 nations of the world. How many nations have I got to school? I only have one. Okay, let me rate it. That is 0.1%. Okay, can I go to another nation and start to make it this? You know, if you don't understand the expectation of God for you, you can be celebrating your failure, thinking you are a success. Do you understand what I'm saying? If God plans for you to win 200 souls in 1 month, if you win 5, you can be saying, even with Solomon Peace, after 3 months, he won 2. Me, he just 1 day, 1 5. That 1 day, you were supposed to bring 50. You can celebrate failure, thinking you are succeeding, when you don't have the understanding of God's expectation. Men can even be celebrating you. I say, brother, you tried. And in the purpose of God, you are a failure because you have no understanding. You must have a rate division. This is not what God said. This is not where God said we'll be. I can't rest now. They say, brother, you are doing too much. You will rest. Don't kill this thing. We need you. We need you. Don't mind those Tobiat and Sabalat. Tell them time to rest has not come. I have a rate of God's vision. The rate shows me that at this time, this is what I should be. I'm not there yet. The rate shows me that at the end of my life, I should have done this. I'm far from it. The rate shows me that we should have gotten here. But so you must put your visions in rate. So you see from the life of Nehemiah that the first thing is that he got the right vision. Ensure your vision is right. Number 2, write the vision. Number 3, run with the rich vision. Number 4, resist. Is that? Review the vision. Number 5, resist the enemies of vision. Number 6, report to God. And number 7, God bless you in Jesus' name.